Long story short, I'm sorry for not uploading last week. I just had a lot of stuff to do, including exams and stuff, but I'm not here to make any excuses, but to talk about the type of group that I guess are a whole new population, and that is the Generation X. Some of the readers thought it was some kind of task force or a special team for Mubong, but no. 17 years after Ragnarok, he specifically said that those new humans was the future of the universe and the next gen of the humankind, and all that just because of a broken taboo. Now, if you are not caught up to season 6, then I'm sorry. You should have just left when I said 17 years, but that's on me. So, with that said, make sure to subscribe for more God of High School content, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter for even more Web2 content. And now, let's get into the video.
You don't got bread, don't hit me. Pull up with the game, ain't with me. Got that bitch like whoa. Dress is sauce, I know.
So, like I said before, the Generation X is a new form of human evolution. And if you guys are not civilized, you should know that Gen X are American citizens that are born between the years of 1960 and 1980. Close enough to call them boomers. But in God of High School, it's literally another form of humans with pure borrowed power from birth because of their parents who was also chariot users. Created this new generation, and Mubong stated that if it continues for more than 2 or 3 generations, the signs of taboo in their DNA will be completely erased, which will create the perfect race that even gods were afraid of. The purpose of the God of High School was of course to chase down Mori Jin, but it was also to find a new human race, known as the Generation X. But let's not forget that those kids also suffered from a weird virus named X syndrome, a disease that we see in the childhood of Dean, where he spent most of his time on hospital beds, accompanied with high fever, vomiting, paralysis, and even blood cancer. But one lucky day, one of the commissions took him under his wing and became his godfather, and that was Executive S, who basically looked over him and healed him over time, making Dean ready for the God of High School tournament, where he showcased 2 of his abilities. The first one was that he is able to copy and learn any type of technique in a short amount of time, just like Jinmori, but the difference was that Dean first off doesn't have any fighting style that he properly trained for. He's just imitating other people's moves and making it his own. And when he looks at a fighting style or a technique, if he wants to, he could use his ability for Randande, where he can see 5 seconds in the future to train his body and mind when practicing those moves, making it even better than the owner who was using the fighting style. We saw some example of it when Dean was fighting Jose and used Moridan's moves in front of the audience, making it feel weird for Mori.
Nigga, is that your move?
But after the gruesome fight between him and Moridan, he decides to team up with Mubong because he actually believes and agrees with the conspiracy theories and ideas of Mubong. And later on, he became a judge in the process, working under Mubong's shadow and stuff. But not only that, Mubong was also able to gather some of the strongest Gen X there is, and Dean is just one of them. In this team, there's 7 other kids that are extremely gifted with powers that are kind of unique. So with that said, here they are. First we have Lee Mashin, a teenager who is a complete douche who only thinks about his raw power. But when it comes to life and death situation, he actually thinks for once and does the right actions. I don't know why, but it's probably something about his past that we never going to get, but there's a reason why he's wearing this blindfold on his face, and that's because he, for some reason, this man sewed his eyes together and says that he's not blind, but anywho, he is a teenager who has any type of fighting style in his capacity, from Hitman's Jung Kung Fu to Muhammad Ali's boxing jabs, creating the most complex and interesting characters in my opinion. We still got some gods and stuff, but you know, in the human category, you got Jin Taejin, who people still think he's not human, and Dusik, who are on top. And then you have Lee, who's just chilling here, dead. Next, we have Seo Bungram, a girl who is a master of boy jutsu, the staff fighting style that the one and only Seo Hongyoung, the master of national treasures, was using. I wish we could know more about her. It's just that the Generation X team is filled with unknown characters. Yes, we know their name but not their backstory. You create a relationship with a character when you know more about them, but this team especially is a one-time thing. We knew so little about each and every one of them, and they were all tools to Mubong in the end. But I'll still try to describe them as best as I can and pray that we get some kind of backstory for every people who was inside the team. I really want to know how they developed their powers in their childhood. They probably had the same trouble than Dean with the X syndrome, but that doesn't mean you need to ghost be like that. It's something that I really hate about God of High School. Sometimes it's just that they don't know when is a good time to drop a character's backstory. But I guess that those characters especially was just a one-time thing. So with that said, let's move on to Lee Gunko, a Korean War fanboy who follows orders left and right. I really don't know what to say about him. He can be sometimes really annoying when it comes to Korean army and being a slave of Mubong in some way, but I guess they have no choice but to follow his orders. They are alive and well because of him, and mostly nanomedicine, but because of those two reasons, the man Lee can see every details of his opponents and comrades by X-ray vision, if he wants to. Height, weight, and power. He also has an extremely good HP that not even Dusek could break. But that's when he's using his dumb national treasure, full combat gear, where he looks like he's about to start a whole World War III by himself. And the funny thing is about this thing is that he also has an AR that comes with it, like a real assault rifle, right? But the weapon doesn't come with national treasure bullets, so he's just a big shield for the team. Next up we have Ho Singbang, a kid who gives out Sasuke vibes the first time we see him, wearing a navy blue hoodie with a weird voodoo skull cap or something like that. That is kind of related to his powers. Oh well. Every time he pulls out his golden club and start dancing, he can either give boosts to his teammates as much as he desires, or literally nerf his opponent on spot, making them hallucinate their favorite desire in front of them. Later, after the mission to defeat Dusek, who was a successful failure, he was ordered to boost Judge P, but she refused because she didn't know what kind of effect a Gen X would do to her fetus. But if you are caught up to God of High School, you know what happened to that goddamn baby. Next, we have Hong Gunding, another support in the team who can see the outcomes of any battles, giving out the percentage of success the team or the opponent will have during the battle. And just like Hyo, she also gives out buffs and debuffs depending on the situation. She looks like a guy in her basic form, but when she's in upgrade mode, she can heal anybody surrounding her. Last but not least, we have the two twin brothers, Adam and Adam, beings that cannot be killed by anyone. They basically robots, but they can self-destruct and recreate themselves also as what they want, a car, a freaking tank, or even a giant robot. As they were fighting Dusek though, they decided to fuse with Seo's staff, creating the ultimate weapon, and of course, giving even more power to Seo. So this wraps the Generation X team. Now, in the current story of the God of High School, a good amount of people died in the Generation X team, so Mubong and Rabbit, one of the 4 pillars of Mubong, decided to get new humans by having a weird detector that Rabbit created by herself. And if you didn't have any ideas of recreating a new humanity or a new world, you were literally going to understand the meaning of God. Yes, you would get killed by Mubong or Rabbit depending on the situation. And out of everybody, like hundreds of people, only one was chosen, and there was many of them actually, a good amount of them, like probably between 10 or 20 I'd say. They looked so weird. They had a hat with some kind of napkin covering their faces. And once they were chosen, it was their turn to choose other people to join them, I guess. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because if you did, make sure to leave a like and your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more God of High School content, and if you want me to cover any webtoons that probably will caught my interest, make sure to leave it in the comments. And see you guys in the next video.